Hi, and welcome to the second kickoff meeting for the data model workstream for Cluster API. We have a light agenda today. We will go to the introduction once again, and then just discuss briefly the proposal working document. So this workstream was created post V1 Alpha 1 to define high-level types for Cluster API, boundaries, requirements, and their use cases. We have a proposal working document that I'm linking right now in the chat. If you can take a look at it, this is the CAP template, which was kind of like pre-filled with a bunch of text. It's open for edit. If you don't have edit access, please join the SIG Cluster Lifecycle Google group. This document is meant to be as a working document, like for the next couple of weeks until we kind of like sum up all the proposal ideas for types and how do we want to split the types. One important thing that that was done like in, I think yesterday or a couple of days ago, was like also the other workstream have started, and one of them is the extension mechanism. There was some question, how do we relate each workstream to one another? The extension mechanism is important for this work stream as well, given that we need to define those extension points for the types. But we want to make sure to just keep the extension mechanism as a black box. So we say there is an extension mechanism, and these are the extension points that we want to offer for these types. For that reason, I added some sections in the document after each type so that we can add kind of extension points that we want to offer or we're thinking about to the document. Those are kind of all the updates that I had. I'm not sure if anyone has any question, comment, concern, or we can probably keep it short and keep collaborating on the document.
I'll just comment on that quickly that I definitely am on board with that mentality and that approach. However, an important part of data modeling often is considering how is this data going to be used, in particular when you're designing an API. We're sort of doing both here. So I think this is a fine approach for now, but I suspect as these two groups come closer to some kind of consensus on a path forward, the black box will be opened up and revealed.
Yes, hopefully that's going to happen like when we know which extension mechanism the community wants to adopt. Excuse me. But yes, I do suspect that's going to happen, and we can always extend the proposal. So one thing that we made sure in the CAP template is kind of like state that we want to always merge early, right? Like even if in 2 weeks we have a proposal up and that proposal is merged, like nothing stops us from like opening a new PR and updating that as like we have more meetings and more discussion. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Perfect.
So I have a question really around the scope of the proposal, or what level of detail we should be going into in this proposal document.
So I would expect to go one level like deeper than definitely the requirements and goals document, which was merged. So now we can find it in the upstream repository. That was kept at a very high level so that we didn't go into many implementation detail. For the scope of the data model, given that like we know that we're going to have data model and we know that we're going to have an extension mechanism, and we also know that we want to manage Kubernetes clusters, I do expect that we go one layer in, but like not yet writing YAML documents, for example, which can probably happen after like the goals, non-goals, and requirements are set, so that we know what we want to achieve, and then from that we can probably start writing some implementation details, and like writing YAML, like APIs that we want to offer, and so on.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. Okay, so if there are no any more questions, I think the workstream is good to go in terms of just collaborating asynchronously on the document, which will also let other folks that cannot attend this synchronous meetings kind of leave comments or edit the document as we go. I will be starting working on it like kind of more full-time probably tomorrow or next week. But I do expect like kind of in the next 2 weeks to make a good progress on it and move to probably a PR afterwards.
Can we talk maybe briefly just about at least what's the plan forward in terms of identifying the goals and the non-goals here? At least for me, when I look at this data model proposal doc, I'm just not sure how to engage with it, or how I should be contributing from the standpoint of, are we trying to describe the existing state of the data model and then make changes from that? Are we trying to reinvent and re-engineer what already exists? I'm just not sure what direction this is supposed to be going. Defining maybe the goals and non-goals and some guidance there might help people be able to start participating.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So this document should be kind of a little bit of both, I would say. So from one side, we want to like understand like what we have today, and we want to start from there and try to understand also the pain points running a cluster API provider. I personally worked a lot on the AWS provider and a little bit on the vSphere one, and also GCP to some extent, but I've seen like commonalities, like or that like like some issues like with the data types and some confusion with them too. Um, so to answer your question, yes, we need to have the goals and non-goals. I do suspect that we will follow and kind of like even copy the ones that we have for the project as a whole, given that those like still need to be kind of respected, and we should use the statement and goals document that we have in the cluster API repo as a foundation for this work. One thing that I would love to avoid is to just get into too many details on, for example, like, do we need this field in like, for example, in the cluster, right? Like talking about like fields at this point in time might be a little bit too early. But I'm not opposed to have, for example, like a discussion of, do we need like, for example, like a network configuration in the control plane, or what should the infrastructure type do, and what are the commonalities across cloud providers that we can offer, and extension points. For example, is any cloud provider going to offer a load balancer? Can we make that kind of more like can we bring more logic upstream for load balancers? Just to give an example, I'm not saying that's the solution. So that's what I would expect this community could do. But yes, like definitely, like we should start from the goals and goals for the proposal. I do agree. And if you have spare cycles, please do add anything to it. Then other folks can obviously comment or leave suggestions. Perfect. I think we can call it early and give you 45 minutes back. If there are any other questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to reach out the normal channels. We have Slack, we have Discuss, or just collaborate in the document.
Thank you.
Thank you.